Alright, this is Henry again, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the 1:144 scale high-grade Universal Century Jesta. Alright, so since I'm unable to paint at the moment, I'm going to be doing this review of the completely unpainted kit. So this is the way it's going to look straight out of the box, simply snapped together with no panel lines or anything. And I didn't even bother applying any of the stickers on this guy because really they don't add all that much, and I'll just be painting those parts whenever I do get around to painting it anyway. So as far as the stuff you get in the box, you obviously get a high-grade Jesta, and it will come with a shield that can actually be attached to the left or right side. You'll get a beam carbine. You get several sets of hands, which is one of the things I like about this kit. You will get 2 open palms. You'll get 2 closed fists, which are on Jesta right now. You get 2 weapon hands, which are pretty much for the beam sabers. And then you get 1 trigger finger hand, but only for the right arm. Now you also get 2 different connectors for the shield. It'll connect to the backpack. You get a kind of folded up version, and then you get an extended version. So it's not movable, but they do give you 2 different configurations. You get 2 clear pink beam saber blades, even though you really only need 1 because Jesta only has 1 beam saber. And you get a sheet of clear stickers with some numbers, some TriStar decals, Anaheim Electronics, Londo Bell, things like that. And then you get a small sheet of foil stickers that's going to have cameras to go on the head and the beam carbine, and this 1 sticker that'll go on the crotch. Now you do get 4 leftover parts for this kit. These are backings that are supposed to go on the backs of the hands, but they are molded in gray because they came on the same runner as the hand parts, but the ones the manual tells us to use are the kind of dark bluish colored backings that are on some of the other runners. Alright, and one thing I do want to show you before we start articulation is, I didn't realize it at first, but there's actually 2 different shades of dark blue on this kit. Now, you've got this kind of light grayish blue for the thighs and the biceps and the lower torso and stuff like that. And then you've got this main dark blue that's used throughout most of the model kit, lower legs, feet, shoulders. But then, around the collar and the chest vents, or lack thereof, it's actually a different shade. It's a little bit of a richer blue, so I just thought I'd take the time to point that out, that that's 2 different shades of blue. Anyway, so let's start with articulation. The head is on a double ball joint poly cap. Just like most of your newer high grades, it can go down and forward in 360, go side to side a little bit. He doesn't have much of a neck down there though. It's very, very minimal. Anyway, the shoulders are going to have a polycap joint that let them come forward about that far. They'll come a little bit further if you rotate the arm forward. Of course, they can go 360. Despite having this bulky shoulder armor with the vent right there, they can actually come out about that far, actually a little bit higher. So that's pretty good considering the bulky shoulder armor. 360 below the shoulder, we get a single jointed elbow, and it's going to bend a little bit more than 90 degrees. And of course the wrists have ball joints just like pretty much every other high grade in existence. So you get a, I believe it's a, double ball joint, or is it a peg? I can't remember. Either way, double joint for the torso, so you've got a little bit of forward and back, a little bit of side to side, and you're not going to go 360, but you can go about that far to each side. The front skirts are molded together. However, you can take your plastic nippers and simply cut them in half, and you'll see they have 2 little ball joints on there. And you can just put those back in place, and then put the center part back over them, and they will then be able to move individually. and they're still just as tight as they were before. They're not loose at all from being cut in half. Anyway, the side skirts are on a peg and a polycap, so they can go up and down and rotate just a little bit, not much. This little hatch thing, I guess right here, can open up, although you might want to get a little bit of help getting that open. But anyway, that comes off, and the grenades technically are removable. However, they are all three connected together. The back skirts don't move, they're fixed in position. The hip joints are on a peg system, and if the side skirts weren't there, they could go all the way out 90 degrees, but they only go out that far. And I actually really like a peg system for the hips rather than a traditional ball joint like what Bandai's used for years and years. The peg just gives you a lot better mobility, I find. So anyway, they can go forward and back until they hit the back skirts. 360 rotation at the below the hip. You've got the swiveling hip joint that lets it go side to side like that. You have a double jointed knee, however, you're only going to get about 90 degrees out of it just because of the bulkiness of the lower leg there. The ankles are on a double joint. You got a hinge that'll go forward and back inside the lower leg, and then down inside the foot you've got a ball joint that'll rotate pretty much 360, yeah, and forward and back, side to side, anywhere you need it to go. So, I think that about does it for articulation. Well, now one last thing. The thrusters on the backpack can wiggle around a little bit. They're on ball joints. So, that's it for articulation. Now let's move on to the accessories. Alright, I guess I'll start off with the accessories that are actually on Jesta to begin with. We just saw the grenades and the side skirts, so I won't bother going over those again. On the back of Jesta's left forearm, we have a beam saber that might be a little bit of a pain to get out, but if you just work with it enough, you can get it out. And you get a clear pink blade for it, which I find to be very, very tight, so you want to be really careful not to break off the clear pink peg on the blade. So just be careful when putting that in and out there. And as I mentioned at the beginning, Jesta has two beam saber hands, right and left, and you just slide that in there and it holds it just fine. Next up, I guess we'll do the shield. It's connected to the backpack, which is pretty uncommon for a Gundam model kit. But you've got two connectors on both sides of the backpack, so you can connect the shield to either side. But on all the box art, it's connected to the left side, so you just unplug that. You got a polycap down there. And you can use either one of these two little shield connector arms. I guess I'll start with the short one first. You just plug that in there, and you get something that looks like that. And then we've got the shield here. It's got two grenades right there on the outside. Unfortunately, they're not removable, and you're going to have to paint those white. The back of the shield is actually nicely detailed. You got a gray part back here with handles and some screws and things on there. And up here is a polycap that will just plug into the shield connector, like so. And it can swivel back and forth at the backpack joint. It can rotate at the shield joint and come forward and back like so. Although I find that this shortened extender arm thingy is a little bit too short, because it doesn't quite want to come over the shoulder armor. It's just not barely long enough. So let's try out the longer one. The longer one connects to the backpack the same way, so it's got the same mobility there, but it fits around the side of the shoulder armor very, very comfortably now. And you can move the shield all the way forward if you want to. It doesn't go all the way back, but I think the longer one is definitely going to give you a better range of motion. And I guess if you really, really wanted to, you could always have just a hold on to that small little handle on the back of the shield and hold it like this, but I don't imagine too many people are going to be holding it that way. Now there is one feature on the Jesta that unfortunately I won't be able to show you. You can actually remove the backpack like so. And you can switch it out between the backpacks for the Start Jagan and the Jagan Equus type. Now, I don't have either one of those model kits, so I can't really show it to you, but it shows you pretty clearly in the manual how to do it. And the last accessory is Jesta's beam carbine, which actually is a very nicely detailed beam rifle. Looks like something straight out of a first-person shooter. Anyway, it doesn't have any moving parts, unfortunately. It's only made of 3 parts, 2 halves, then the barrel here. So, little handle doesn't move or anything, but it makes up for that just by looking really cool. And like I said earlier, Jesta comes with a trigger finger hand for the right arm, and Jesta has no problem holding on to it whatsoever. There's actually a peg on the handle of the beam carbine, so it's extra secure. And with the posability in the shoulders, Jesta will have no problem at all holding the beam carbine with a two-handed approach. Now, you might have been wondering about what's on the back of Jesta's right forearm. Basically, what these are 3 extra ammo packs for the beam carbine, and they're very tough to get out. For good reason, because unfortunately they're not really usable at all. They're all 3 molded together and hollow on the inside. And the ammo clip on the beam carbine itself does not come out, it's molded in place. So it would have been cool if they had made these individual and you could actually switch them out on the beam carbine, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. And just for a couple of quick comparisons, here's the Jesta compared to the taller Unicorn Gundam in destroy mode, and here it is compared to an average size mobile suit, the RX-78-2. So I guess that about does it for high grade Jesta's review. It's a simple mobile suit and a simple model kit, but really high quality. I love well, some people don't like the colors, but I personally really like the colors. It has a very Black Ops look to it, and a very low, what's the word I'm looking for? Low visibility color scheme. And I just think it works really well for the theme of the mobile suit. As far as the model kit itself goes, I think Bandai's done a really good job. It's certainly on par with their newer high grades. One thing I really enjoy is the multiple hands that we get with these kits, and these the open palms and the closed fists that came with this kit came on a runner that I showed off in the unboxing video that was said MP high grade, which seems to indicate that Bandai is going to make a mass-produced runner of hands and start using them on their high-grade kits, which I would be completely in favor for, because sometimes high grades they're hit and miss with the hands. Sometimes, like in the case of Jesta and Goof Custom, for example, they'll have really good hands, and then sometimes in the case of high grades from Gundam Age so far have really crappy hands. One part I didn't really go over was the clear orange part for the visor on the face, and even though that's the only clear orange part we get, I think it does look really nice, and it would have been easy for Bandai to just make that whole head part dark blue and then have us have to paint it, but I'm glad they included the one clear orange part that they did. Just overall, I think this is a pretty good kit. It does have its problems. Specifically, hollow parts is one of my complaints with this. On the back of the connectors for the shield, you've got some hollow parts. And in the knee joints, and you can't really see it, but the ankle joint as well has got a lot of hollow parts on those, similar to hollow parts you would see on an SD kit. So that's a little bit disappointing, but then again, that's something that you can easily just go in and fill in with putty and problem solved. And everything else I don't really have many complaints about. Some people complain about having to paint the little thing on the crotch and the grenades on there. But honestly, I'm not really going to make a big deal out of those. So, I guess that about does it for the review of the high-grade Universal Century Jesta, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.